So we got into this area of really thick stuff here. Had to cross a river to get in here, and there's some old rubs. Not a lot of them, but some old ones. But you look at these trails beat through here, but no fresh sign. I'm thinking this is early season. There's not a lot of rut sign or, you know, deer sign later in the year. Right now it's dried up. But man, are there the trail networks through here from earlier in the year. And there's a pretty big track there, and that's fresh. I mean, I could put 4 fingers in that. But there ain't a lot of fresh tracks. Bet you when this is all grass, they're in here.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just thinking.
It's worth checking out. Next September. We're getting into some really rural stuff. We're in the middle of a tamarack swamp. And so I just saw something that kind of creeped me out. It really creeped him out. But we're going to go check it out. From here, I can see down in that tangle, it looks like pieces of a tent, and I see bones. I'm hoping that's not a person. Let's go check it out. Oh, that's not bones. It's pieces of plastic, and it's a blind. Yeah, it's where somebody had a blind. It must have been years ago because you couldn't even shoot out of that now. And we just saw some cut limbs over here, so I was wondering. But look, now they couldn't even shoot out of it. Man, that creeped me out there for a second.
Yeah, it did.
Take a look at this. This is just dense, like tag alderish, wet swampish stuff. And what we found in there was a couple high spots right back here where there's some bedding. They're not very big, and they're scattered. I'm not finding a lot of rub sign. We're just starting to find rubs now, and a lot of them are historical, but I know there's big bucks in this area. Makes me lean a little early season, but you'd think that this thickness would attract bucks at this time of the year when there's no leaves. And there are some big buck tracks, and some of them are fresh, just not a lot of them. Maybe there's not a lot of deer, I don't know. But we followed this buck trail out. And you can tell it was a buck trail because you can see the branches busted where the deer were, where the racks were hitting, where the doe trails just go through right through thick stuff. And we followed that out to here, and there's a couple rubs on it. That's where we first started picking them up. Then we hit this really heavy trail here coming in, right here. And we got a river that's parallel in this here. And now we got a really, really heavy trail coming alongside of us. And everything seems to be coming together up here. Dude, here's a scrape. Look at this. Right here. There's a scrape. Right where the trails come together. So that's typical of bucks, to mark a spot where bucks and does and everything meet. So they had a scrape right here. And when you look at this, you look at how would you hunt this? Well, all these trails are coming together, and I see a grassy opening up here. If we can find a way to hunt that grassy opening. And maybe come to the river parallel, cross the river and go up a tree. I don't see much for trees, but let's take a look. What we can do here. Here's another trail coming in out right here. Another heavy trail. And you look at crosses here. Swings back up to the opening. So right here we got a big old perennial rub. You can see several rubs on it. Oh, there's some in the background too.
Oh yeah.
Now that one, the second one back, that only looks a couple years old. And that one looks like it's been rubbed too. This is a pretty heavy trail going in there. However, once again, there's no fresh rubs, which is concerning. But I think this is a good spot to monitor. If a guy can get in a tree like that or over here and cover this, might have to knock a couple branches out of here. But you can cover this little opening. Come across this creek. I mean, it's a pretty deep creek, but come through that, come right up here. And here's the thing with that. When I do that, I would make sure that I walk in line with the tree I'm going to hunt out of, so that when a deer gets to my scent, he's shootable. Mm-hmm. Because if you walk over there and then over here, he's going to hit your scent trail and turn around and leave. So right here you can kill him, right? So cross right in line with your tree and walk right to it. There ain't much you can do in here without breaking a couple branches off, though. But this is a good spot to keep in mind. I mean, I would monitor these rubs and stuff. There's something going on right here. I mean, I even think without the fresh rubs, there's got to be some big bucks coming through here. There isn't even little rubs, but there's a scrape, so there's been bucks through here. And these trails are too beaten down not to be being used pretty heavy. Look at this cutout here, coming up to those trees, where they're crossing the river. And there's another one like it right over there, a couple of them cut through the banks.
It's like a ditch.
If you look, there's a huge one right over here. Can you see that?
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of deer coming in and out of here going across that river. Good spot to keep in mind, sign or not. Yeah, no fresh tracks, but man, that's been pounded. And there's one after another like this, all right here. There's something.
It's a ditch.
So I'm reassessing this a little bit. Going up and down this edge along this river, there's a lot more sign than what we were seeing back in there. And going in there, I just think that that's too thick for a big buck's antlers to go through. If they're going in there, they're just going in a little ways, or they're taking one of these major trails through it. But this whole edge has got the tore up rubs. It's just they're all old. I can see one fresh one back there behind you. I can see more of those big heavy rubs up here, and it's all along here. I think that a lot of that's doe travel, and this is the buck's rutting travel.
Mm-hmm.
And in a thick area like this, you could probably catch a good buck in
There's
daylight cruising this.
food over there, 350 yards.
The hardest part's finding a tree in here. There's a couple though. We'll find one along here. And that's all we have to do. If this whole path here is the rutting trail, we just have to find one tree along here that we can cross that river and go up.
Yeah.
So these rubs like this, these perennial rubs, a guy's going to get fooled and he's going to think the buck is coming in and out of here. But look down that trail, you see any more rubs? There's none. This rub is marking this trail. He's marking where the does are going in and out. Where they're crossing those river cuts and going in there. And he's running this open area where he can get his antlers through and stuff. And he's just crossing their trail, smelling. And when he smells a doe, he's marking the trail. I did everything I could not to sneeze. I don't need the Corona police to come after me. Come running out of the bushes and grab us. You're not masking in the swamp. But you see that? Heavy tree rubbed over and over and over again, year after year. And there's a few of them around here marking this trail. They're not down the trail. They're going like this, and they're marking where the does go across.
That makes a lot of sense.
Rub after rub after rub after scrape. And we just have to find a tree in here that covers this for rut. There's trees like this one that ain't bad, but they're in line. The deer's going to look up and see you in line. I'd like to see one right along the river, just a little bit open.
Where you're off the trail.
You know, we could have one on this side would work, but I'd rather have it over there where I don't even have to touch this trail. All right, well, we finally got a fresh big one. Pretty high up. It's hit on both sides of the tree, and something was hitting down lower too, way down here. So it looks like, you know, probably more than one buck, and then obviously these were rubbed by a littler one. If you look in the background, there's a couple trees that have broken over from being rubbed over the years. So at least now we have some sign. I'd have to think during rut, every year there's a good buck or two that come through here. I'd have to think that.
Absolutely.
Because this area doesn't get pounded that much. We're pretty remote. Let's keep looking.
Well, we found a Dan rub.
Huh?
Nothing.
You looking at my ass?
No.
Okay. All right, we just found a whole bunch of rubs staging up here on that rut trail. And there's a heavy trail coming in here from what looks to be a real old access trail of some sort. Not in use anymore. It doesn't look like it's been in use for a long time. You get back here and there's still a few big rubs back here and fresh ones. Like that one. And all those rubs are up here. And there's a heavy trail coming right through here. Heavy trail there, heavy trail here, and heavy trail over there. And everything comes together right over here. Now the thing that I'm thinking is there could be bucks running that edge I mean, so the edge is a good spot. And this could be a good spot, but I think it gets one hunt, and then they know you were here. If we came in as a team, one of us hunts that opening, one of us hunts back here. If a buck comes through, he's dead.
Yeah.
Then we move on to the next spot. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Let's see if we can find a setup in here.
Okay.
Now the thing is, this whole area, I mean, you get in here and these little grass pockets and swamp pockets have killer bedding. So I don't know exactly where the bedding is, which is, you know, kind of, I'm looking at this more rut time, but I know I'm near it. And I know I'm near the deer because the sign is starting to concentrate.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot more research to find out exactly where the beds are. We're going to have to really look for them. So, we could get in a tree like this and just be hard to get an arrow out of there. Kind of in the middle of stuff.
That'd be good for a saddle hunter, hey?
Yeah, or a stand hunter. But of course stands don't work in trees, only saddles do. Yeah, a guy could get right here where it's 4 inches.
Yeah.
Have a shot down to that trail, and a shot over here. Well, you'd have a hard time hitting that one, no? No, you can put a hole right through here. This might be the ticket. Let's take a look from up ahead once. So now, we've gotten past the spot that we set up last, where we found all those trails coming together, and we had those rubs on the outside. Now granted, you gotta remember, neither me or Rick have been on this property before. So now we're getting past there, and we find a funnel going into there. Half of it goes to that front where all those big rubs were. Half of it goes to where we put the stand, or where we want to put a stand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it narrows down here to a little tiny funnel. We got wet grass over there, you know, probably a foot of water. It stays grassy and dogwoody. And then we got grass and reeds over here. And this
Just
is the only
past the
little
little
funnel that goes through here. And we got a little strip of woods where they can run.
Yep.
But this grassy area here is full of beds. They're hard to see, but you see the indents from them. And if you look close enough, you can see the poo. There's one that run right behind you there too. And there's some in those trees there. And if you look around, all these trees have historical rubs on them. There's even a few fresh ones.
They're
Look at
everywhere.
this one. Every tree is hit. This one's got one from 2 years ago. Look how high it is.
Yeah, that one's really high.
Yeah.
But
Look
it's
at this
historical.
real old one on that big tree. Old one on that big tree. Come in here and
Yep.
yeah, here's a fresh one. Look at this. Look how high that is. And if you look, right there's a bed. See the indent? You can see the shape of the deer. You know, now, what you got to do is you got to put your detective hat on. You got a rub here, and you got a bed here, right? So, what time of the year is this deer bedding in here? Is he bedding now in the direct sun?
No.
No, when these reeds are up, right? So probably all the way up until about rut, and I would say pre-rut, there's bucks in here for sure based on the rut sign,
Yep.
right? Those stands will cover that side. What we need to do is find where this end's going this way and cover it on that side. Because all this travel is back and forth. This is a good area.
Yeah, it is.
I think we could do some damage here. And I haven't seen much for hunter sign. I mean, you can see some old hunter sign across the land border that way.
Right.
But even that doesn't look like much. Looks like gun hunting sign, and it's old. Doesn't
Yeah,
look like it's
really
been
old.
used anytime recently. So it looked like there's some beds under those bushes over here too.
Yep.
Let's take a look at those. So typically,
There's an old rub breakdown.
beaver chewings.
Oh, wow.
You know what? You find beavers, you find bucks.
Really?
Oh yeah. So this looks like it has some bedding in here too. And if you look when this is green, look, you can see the indents into the ground, into the soil where they're laying. No time recently, but at some point during the year they're bedding here. So one can obviously discern that that is happening when there's cover. You look at these reeds, this has got to be a jungle
Yes.
in early season. So I think probably right through rut. And based on the rut sign, I'd say pre-rut, late October, early November is the time to be around this spot. It's starting to look good.
Yeah.
Glad we came out here.
Me too.
So that last bedding area we looked at is about right about 100 yards
Yeah.
that way. Look at how high these reeds are. And think about this jungle here. And you look and there's just heavy trails coming in and out of here. And look at this. When them reeds are up, this is just a little oasis, a little hole in here. I could see an old tree stand from years and years and years ago,
Yep.
crumbled on the ground. It doesn't look like anybody's been messing around over here at all lately. I mean, you look at this. A deer laying in here like this, and I see hairs laying all over the place. He's completely surrounded by those reeds, and any sound or anything, and they just take one of the trails out of here. I mean, this is just perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see little indents from beds over here. You can even see some fresh sign here. I mean, this whole thing is going to be surrounded by those giant reeds, and nobody really comes walking through these reeds to set up back here. This is
There's the old stand.
the hardest part is, you know, how we're going to set up on this stuff. But I think that in between stand now is looking like the key, because the deer are going to walk in between these two bedding areas. It's just a matter of parallel walking to that tree where we can shoot. We'll have to go back and mark that at some point. Let's follow these trails out of here and see where they go. It's starting to get into a little bit more timber, which means we might find a little more hunter sign. But you know, you look at this. I mean, there's deer hairs everywhere in here, just everywhere. See where one laid right here? Look at all the hair there. See?
Yep.
So look in here, as you look at the exit, which is typical with a good bedding area, right at the exit is marked with heavy rubs. Oh, look at this, right here.
Oh yeah.
Here's a fresh one. And historical. And a bunch of historical ones over here. This is pretty good. I've seen some really old pink flagging laying on the ground here. I spotted this guy up here. Yeah, look how old this is.
Yeah.
It's falling apart. It's not super old because the 2x4 didn't fall apart yet. But it's got some age to it.
I think it's got to be as old as you.
It ain't that old. It's probably about 15, 20 years old, I think. Maybe not even 15, maybe. Because the 2x4s are going to have more damage. But it shows you it's a good spot. And this is right where all the bedding ends.
Yeah.
You know, for whatever reason this guy gave up on it. So if you look, the tree stands right there. See it?
Yeah, right there.
There is no sign of anybody hunting in here recently. And my thought process is, way back in the day, when that guy had to stand here, it was a good spot. It probably wasn't as good as it is now, because he probably overhunted it, number one, and these reeds might not have been there at that time frame. It seems like the landscape has changed slightly. All this invasive buckthorn has come in, and all that kind of stuff. But I think he had the right idea. He had the right spot. I'm looking at this, and this is just far enough back from that bedding.
Yep.
This could be the spot. And this is the first spot that's open enough to shoot. It doesn't have the reeds. And if you look behind you, Rick, there's a natural channel there.
Yep.
You can shoot any deer that walks in here. And I have an access I can come in through from over here. Now granted, it's about a 2-mile walk, but I'm not spooking the deer. I'm going right through water.
Yep.
Come right up to the back of this tree and up this tree. Now if you come over here and look at this, I'm thinking I can get a stand right here, right just above my hand here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see
And
it.
this one angles too much where I wouldn't want to sit in it. I'd have to aim it this way and canter it against this tree. This one I can kind of aim out straight, sit on it, and shoot right down that alley without cutting a thing. And I think that that's perfect. So we'll mark this tree.
Too bad it's on your offhand, though.
Yeah, I just turn around.
Yeah.
There's a deer coming. In these reeds, we're going to hear them coming for a mile. You know, I think this is a good setup. I think we should mark this one. Yeah, we got another one.
Yep. And we got a whole stretch to go yet.
Oh yeah, we ain't even touched this yet. This is a pretty cool looking area. It's kind of funny that we're not seeing more sign, because I know there's a lot of big bucks out here.
And
But
the
we are
minute-
seeing a decent amount. They're here and there, you know.
And as far back enough that you're not hitting human sign.
Yeah.
That makes it even better.
I haven't seen any fresh human sign in a mile.
No.
None. I've seen sign, but all of it's old. From years ago.
Right.
Trying to knock down some of these dead branches out of the way. To have a clear shooting antler. Dude, antler. Oh, it's a rick size. It sure glowed against the ground. I don't know. We walked right past here a couple times.
Perfect for a knife antler.
Yeah. It's a perfect knife.
Yeah. Ooh.
I could eviscerate you.
Ouch.
That's just yours too. I mean, if he's that giant now, think about what he'll be this year. So the one good thing about finding antlers like this is in an open area like this, on public land, this late, to find an antler that's been sitting here all this time, tells you right in the open, there's not a lot of people walking around in here.
Right.
So that's a real good sign. Not to mention we're finding,
Leg bone.
yeah, deer parks all over the place, like deer coming in here to die. I'm really liking this area. We still got a long ways to go looking at the maps.
Yes.
That's a pretty good one right there.
Now that's a Rick rub right there.
Yeah, I think Rick's buck might even rub that.
Deer looks way better than you.
I make a good looking buck, don't I?
Whatever you think.
That's a pretty good looking rub.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's amazing here is we're still not running into human sign. This is,
Sweet.
yeah, I'm liking this. Everywhere in here. All these trees. Even some old ones. Here. And there's the bed. And it's right on the point. I mean,
Right.
20 yards in front of me is heavy grass again and stuff. And you get this thick little oasis, and you see beds or rubs all the way around this little bedding area. And there's old feces and stuff in the bed. Now, once again, if you put your detective hat on, there was grass and stuff here when this deer was bedding here. So earlier in the year, but with all the rubs and stuff, I'd say probably rut. But now, you saw the big rubs that we've been seeing, right? There's
Yes.
no big rubs right here.
No.
I'm not worried about this bed
No.
at all. It's a good opportunity to look at how deer bed on a point,
Right.
but it's certainly ain't the type of deer bed in here that I want to hunt. And that goes in to say, now a lot of guys think bedding areas are bedding areas, buck bedding areas are buck bedding areas, but it's not true. I find great bedding areas that year after year, all they have is 1.5 and 2.5-year-olds.
Okay.
There's only certain bedding areas that'll hold mature bucks, and this ain't one of them.
Gotcha. I wanted to check the point out anyways.
Yeah, it was worth looking at. I could see a big buck bed in here. I don't know why they're not, but the sign shows they're not.
All
I
right.
think I see a skull or something. You see that?
I do.
I don't see antlers though, so let's just take a look at it. Is it?
That's skull. Where's that rock?
Skull.
Skull.
There's no
Where
body
is this
around it. Section has some rubs, eh? Look
Yeah.
at this. You see all these?
Freaking everywhere.
This one's actually got some height to it. The rest of them are kind of small. One right here. Looks like there's a bed right here. See that?
Yep.
And the thing is, what you got to realize is, you look at this. It's all this canary grass and stuff. There aren't much for trees and stuff in here. I'm thinking that this is a bedding spot. This is a bed.
It's even one way out there on the edge.
Yeah, they're just laying under here when this has got leaf cover.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking early season, this ain't a bad spot here. So, really it looks like it's just staging to go to those trees over there. I mean, we could set up just a set of those trees. That's what you were looking at before.
Yeah.
I walked by because I said, where would they be bedding? But then we came back around and looped around and wanted to look at this edge to see,
Yep.
and here they are. And you kind of called this. I wasn't too sure about it, but you thought it'd probably be over here. And here it is. So you can see how a deer lays right in here. You can see it. You can physically see where the bed is. From laying there over and over and over again, it's got a depression in there. It hasn't been laid in for a while, so it's kind of hard to see if there's any hair or anything there. Yeah, there's one right there. But the thing about this being early season, there's probably beds out here too, like where Rick's standing over here. But I think a buck was bedding here quite a bit, rubbing all this stuff. Now the thing is, do I think he's a giant? Well, I think 2 bucks were bedding here, based on rub heights. There's 2 different heights of rubs. So if you look, I mean, you look at like this little crappy rub here.
Down there.
This one's kind of low. This one's a little higher. And this one, the center's here. There, that one's low. And you look here, this one's higher. And look at these rub marks way up in here. I mean, this was a good buck that did this. So he was bedding here too. And there's probably bedding under those trees over there too. And there's just this whole area here. And I can see a trail going out there. And one kind of going this way. I think that might be the trail out. But I just want to make sure there ain't something going into there, because there's an awful lot of sign in there when we walk that.
Yeah.
So let's just walk this way and look for a trail going that way.
No, it doesn't.
Got a trail over around here too from bedding.
Probably right here.
And there's a trail going
There's
in
a
right
trail
there. And that's
right
where we
there.
saw the sign.
Yep.
So we could look at setting up there. But I think that the main trail came out over there, to be honest. But what we can do is we can loop through here, look at this, and then we'll look at that. And maybe it's one of those things where we set up both of us again. Let's take a look at this one.
All right.
But this trail kind of leans that way, don't it?
Yes.
Yeah, this should be heavier going this way if it's coming out of that much of used bedding, right? So I'm just leaning at that other trail. Let's just backtrack. So we saw a trail going out this way. Let's check that out. Use that bed again. Oh, these trees must right off. Oh, look at the old rubs on this.
Oh yeah.
So we've got 2 trails here. There's going to be one that just runs this river, right?
Right.
But I think this is the exit trail. And look at how well this is marked.
Yep.
That's marked like an exit trail, right? Yeah, for sure. So let's follow this and see where this goes and where we can set up on it. Yeah. I'm willing to bet that this is a bed too when these reeds are really high. Right
I'm not-
underneath here like a cave.
I'm not sure, but I thought I just heard a deer blow.
Yeah, I'm sure we're kicking deer all over the place. Alright, so there's a split up of the trails here. Now one goes over to your stuff, one goes straight, one goes in here. And now this is a mess. So it is going to be hard to hunt. So I think what we got to do is we got to pick up wherever the trail goes that a buck can take, right? And it's hard for me to believe they circle around like this and go into there. So I'm thinking they're going this way. So let's just walk over here and see what we can find over here. Yeah, here's a Rob here. Last year.
Yep.
Going this way. Yeah, this one can hold a buck. I mean, it's got the trap there. I see some deer hair down in there. Satellite bedding. Here's the trail. Okay. now it splits up in 3 different directions. This is pretty much where a guy's got to hunt. And I think a guy can hunt here off the ground.
Yeah, there really is no tree.
Yeah. You see old scarring on the trees in here. So, this is it. This is where they're going. Yeah, let's take a look over here.
Yeah, this is fresh track too. Pretty good size.
Yeah, I think a guy could get like right here. Back in here. Look at this. Come here once. Even a deer thought this was a good hiding spot. See that?
Yeah.
So a guy could get right in here, sit in here. And if you look, see that shooting lane you got here? That's pretty good. It'd be nice to be able to shoot that way though. But you just can't get in that tree with anything. The guy could have a shot over the top this way if he sat right.
There's a
One did
rub
come
right
from the
down there
backside.
too.
Yeah, but I think the deer are going to come from that bed there. It's just a matter of monitoring when they're in there. It looks to me like early season and pre-rut. I mean, that many rubs that had to be being bedded like the 3rd week of October. There had to be a buck just living there.
I agree.
And it looks like from the old rubs is every year. So 3rd week of October right here. So mark this spot.
All right.
Balloon ribbon.
A balloon ribbon. We don't see the balloon, but
Well, that's because the deer are getting smart enough to hide the balloons now.
oh, okay.
You want to use this to tie your hair up?
No, thank you. I think it would be a better match for you. You got longer hair than me.
We'll just take this with
Where's
us.
that?
Oh, look at that rub there.
Oh, wow.
That ain't a 2-year-old.
No.
That's a good one. We got a rub here. We got a Rick-sized antler. And look at this. A Rick-sized jawbone. You're not laughing.
You think you're funny, but you're not.
I'm funny. You know what we
Funny
should do?
looking. Funny smelling.
We should take this giant antler of yours and sign our names on it and give it to somebody watching this.
Be the first time I signed something. I mean, to give away like that.
Yeah, well. So we could both sign this and give it to somebody. Give me a witty comment below the video. Make fun of Rick or something.
Oh,
But come up with something.
better yet, make fun of Dan.
Make something that makes us laugh. And me and Rick will look at the comments and decide who gets the antler. And we'll ship it to you.
Make fun of both of us.
However, I got to be able to get a hold of you. So you have to look to see if I responded to your comment. Because we've gone there before.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So you got to have to look to see if I respond to your comment. Because I'm going to respond to one of them and say you won. And I'll ship you the antler with my autograph and Rick's autograph. More importantly, Rick's autograph on there. Because Rick rarely ever gives an autograph. He thinks they're worth a lot of money or something. Or maybe nobody asks him.
Oh.